Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Experts, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. My name is Jess and we do these live streams every single weekday. So if you wouldn't mind hitting that like, subscribe and bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's take a look at what's going on with the prices right now. So Bitcoin is at $49,858, up over 4% within the last 24 hours. Up almost 17% within the last week. It has been absolutely crazy, and we've got some really bullish news to share today as well. We are also looking at Ethereum up over 7% within the last 24 hours, starting to outperform Bitcoin here. Let's see if that continues. We'll take a look at the Ethereum Bitcoin chart today. That is up over 15% within the last week as well. So really nice moves there. And if we scroll down, we can see it's all green, except Chainlink down slightly. Chainlink seems to be really going against the trend a lot of the time here, lagging in its pumps and pausing in the for the dump. So really strange price action there from Chainlink, but it really has had a nice rally within the last week. So I think it deserves a little bit of time to cool off there. We will take a look at those charts today, so make sure to stay tuned until the very end. Once again, Huobi is in the top losers with HT. And in the biggest gainers of the day, we've got Helium up over 10% and AR as well. So big movers in the markets here. Very, very exciting to see. Let me pull up today's live chat. I've not even pulled it up today. Let's see what's going on there. Good morning, everybody in the live chat. Thank you very much for tuning in. As always, Rob says, good morning, Jess. Do you think 88k is still the end of year target? I've just kicked my camera. Let's see what this says. Do you think 88k is still the end of year target, or do you see higher with the latest price action? Well, so this question relates to an article that we read on Friday's live stream. On Friday's live stream, we were seeing the analysts were suggesting that we could have Bitcoin at $88,000 by the end of the year. And I was taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, and I was stating that typically it takes around Bitcoin around 310 days post-halving to create a new all-time high. Now, our all-time high is currently at $69,000, so this would indicate that we would see Bitcoin hit that level at around the end of November, start of December, and that gives us some more room in the year to reach that at the analyst price target at $88,000. if the cycles were to repeat as they have been. So I'm still sticking by that. As I always say, the trend is your friend until the end. The 4-year cycles are still in play. They have not changed. So I'm still kind of looking at that thesis and sticking to that thesis for the time being. I have been discussing this a little bit more. If we do see a Bitcoin all-time high before the halving or in the couple of months following the halving, the cycles are changing, the cycles are different, and that's where a little bit of fear comes into me, because we have this data from the 4-year cycles that we rely on heavily. The cycles tend to repeat very, very, very similar every single time, and they give us a really strong indication of what's happening next. But if those 4-year cycles break, if the trends break, then we don't really have much data to go off here. We have short-term price data that we can use. We can still kind of analyze the same as we have historically, but when we zoom out, if those 4-year cycles start to change and the trends start to change, it's going to be a nerve-wracking time, because we don't have that long-term perspective to look at and see those trends forming. The trends will be different, and we will have a little bit less kind of understanding of where Bitcoin's going to go, and it will be more of kind of playing it by ear as the time goes on. We will obviously have the short-term data, the long-term data when it comes to the news and how bullish we can be about the markets. But if the 4-year cycles change and we no longer have those trends, then Bitcoin could go extremely higher than that price target, and similarly have a lot more sideways action than we expect. If the 4-year cycles change and break, and we no longer are seeing those trends anymore, nobody really knows what's going to happen there, but they are currently still in play. We are still looking at these 4-year cycles, so with that in mind, I'm still looking at that trend, and I'm still looking at 310 days post-halving until we see the next Bitcoin all-time high. If that pattern changes, brilliant. If we get new all-time highs faster, brilliant. I am the Bitcoin bull. I want Bitcoin to go up as high as possible, so very much excited to see those higher prices, but I am still on those 4-year targets. Just because we've seen a rally here does not mean that they have broken for me, and until they break, I will be relying on them for my personal analysis. But let's take a look at what's going on with the price of Bitcoin here. So we can see it has actually broken that $49,000 level. Let's draw this on with a proper line rather than my little scribble there. So if we draw this across here, you can see $49,000 is a major level of resistance here. We had a pump to that point just after the Bitcoin ETFs launched into the markets, and we now have successfully broken above it. So we've seen a candle close above that level. I think it'd be really nice to see if we do see the price of Bitcoin come down to that $49,000 level today and use this as a level of support. That will give us more confidence, but I am being cautious right now. As we keep saying, we are approaching that Bitcoin halving, which historically is a bearish event on the run up to the kind of the next couple of months. Yes, it can still be quite nice and bullish. We could see some sideways action here, but $50,000 is a nice price point to have. This was my pre-halving price point, $50,000. I was saying when we were down at like 20,000, I was saying $50,000 is the pre-halving max. We're now here. Bitcoin's looking super bullish, and I'm holding on to that as a price target. We could go higher. We could go significantly higher by just looking at the price trends that we've seen. In fact, let's do some more analysis together here. Let's go to Bitcoin US dollar and take a look at the distance between the halving and the high post pre-halving. So let's go to the previous, let's start from the first cycle, because I think this is the best way to go off. So prior to the first halving, the high was around 103 days before. If we go to the next one, we can see that this halving had, bull market had a high 103 days, and then this one was a lot shorter, 20 days. So this had a run up until 20 days prior to the halving here. On the second halving, on the third one, we are looking, obviously this is a black swan event, we had an anomaly. We're looking at 322 days here. So it's hard to create this kind of understanding of how long this bearish period prior to a halving should last, because if we look at the second halving, we had a run up pretty close to that event. On the first halving, it was a little bit longer, but we are having scattered results here, so we can't really come to a conclusion of how long we are going to see that bearish period occur during the halving, whether it be a week, whether it be a month, whether it be 3 months. It's hard to tell right now because the data isn't really showing any sort of trend there, but we can see that when the Bitcoin halving is occurring, the month of that, it's not typically super bullish. Jonathan says in the chat, all-time high before halving. Monkey Nut says supply shock incoming, and the bull run is going to be crazy. I do think the bull run is going to be absolutely insane. I think a supply shock is definitely something that can happen here. We are going to be talking about the amount of demand we are seeing from these ETFs right now and what that means for the supply of Bitcoin and the demand of Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin and all of that bullish talk. But as I've just said, the idea of an all-time high before the halving petrifies me. It really does scare me because, yeah, I mean, I want to see Bitcoin super bullish. I want to see Bitcoin making new all-time highs. But the idea of the 4-year cycles, kind of the trends changing and breaking, is very, very intimidating, because then what data do we have to go off? How can we make some accurate predictions if the trends have broken and we're starting afresh? No one will truly know what's going to happen other than looking at the kind of Bitcoin inflows, outflows, the supply and the demand as the time goes by. We won't have any previous data to really project onto the current price to create some accurate predictions. It will all be kind of, this is happening right now. It will be absolutely crazy. Let's see what's going on here. Jonathan says 350 million ETF inflows yesterday will be settled today. Let's take a look at what's I also think another thing to consider here is, like, we have seen a 22% pullback post ETFs launching. So just because we are all super bullish right now, just because we have hit that $50,000 level, doesn't mean we are going to see up-only activity forever. And we do need to bear in mind that pullbacks can come at any point in time. I think it's so easy to turn super bullish right now because we are seeing the ETFs create a huge amount of kind of fears when it comes to the supply of Bitcoin and creating that supply shock. So We've got a huge amount of news to talk about today that will make us super bullish, but we need to kind of keep a cool head and keep a focused look on what's actually happening here. Some really good opportunities coming up in the markets. First of all, we have seen Bitcoin push through the $50,000 level for the first time since late 2021. Brilliant to see. And we are seeing Solana lead gains in crypto majors, with Bitcoin's metrics suggesting low retail growth. Top 20, a liquid index of the top 20 cryptocurrencies rose 4% in the last 24 hours. Brilliant to see that. I think this article here is the most bullish article of the year. I think this is a really significant article that we need to take a proper good look at here. I've found it on Crypto Saving Expert, haven't been able to find it on any other major cryptocurrency news outlets. So if you want to read through this article yourself, I will drop the link to this in the live chat here. But what they are saying is the Bitcoin ETFs are absorbing 10 times the Bitcoin that miners can generate. So the Bitcoin ETFs have been hoovering up Bitcoin yesterday, amassing more than 10 times the amount of Bitcoin generated by Bitcoin miners. Now, we all know how Bitcoin works. We've got a maximum supply of 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be created in the world. Now, at the moment, 6.25 Bitcoin are added into circulation every 10 minutes, and they are added into circulation by the miners. Now, that can't change, and that actually is about to be halved in April. So the inflation rate of Bitcoin is about to dramatically decrease further. But right now, we are seeing the demand from the Bitcoin ETFs is tenfold the amount of Bitcoin that is actually being added into circulation. So this means that the ETFs aren't just hoovering up the excess Bitcoin that's being added into the markets, but they're actually taking big scoops of the circulating supply of Bitcoin here. And what we could see here is the amount of Bitcoin available on exchanges decrease drastically and continue to decrease to a point where the supply gets incredibly low while the demand is continuing to increase. And we just see a price explosion there. And this is what we've been talking about for months now. Some analysts said about 2 months ago, we are within 18 months of a supply shock here that could send Bitcoin to very nice price targets. Now, if we take a look here on Monday, the 12th of February, Bitcoin ETFs absorbed large amounts of Bitcoin, surpassing miner production by a factor of 10. The preliminary data shows that the ETF accumulated approximately $493.4 million, equivalent to around 10,280 Bitcoin. Now, if we take a look at BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, that was the top attraction, generating $374 million of the buys. You can see a full breakdown there. But that same day, Bitcoin miners generated roughly 1,059 Bitcoin. Now, when you compare that to the 10,280 Bitcoin the ETFs accumulated, there is a drastic difference there. So this accounts for only 10% of the Bitcoin taken in by the spot ETFs, and a similar pattern emerged on the 9th of February, with aggregate ETF inflows totaling around 12,700 Bitcoin, equivalent to $541.5 million, overshadowing the approximately 980 Bitcoin added through mining, valued at about $45 million. So we are seeing here that the amount of Bitcoin being added into circulation is only about 10% of the amount that miners are buying per day. So this is a huge figure here, and this really is feeding into the data that, look, a supply shock could be around the corner. Bitcoin's price could increase if we continue to see the supply of available Bitcoin on exchanges decrease and the demand increase, because that's how the simple economics of supply and demand work. Now, with the Bitcoin halving around the corner, with the increased anticipation of what could happen with the Bitcoin price, we are seeing demand for Bitcoin increase every single day. And with these ETFs, we have removed a barrier to entry when it comes to new people trying to get exposure to Bitcoin's volatility, and we've seen opportunities for institutional investors to get involved as well. So these ETFs have created a huge opportunity. We have been stressing that since these ETF applications were first created, Bitcoin ETFs can change the space forever, and that cannot be understated. We are seeing that play out right now in front of our eyes, and we need to be watching this closely. So if you are new here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Let's see what else is going on in the news here. So, Bitcoin traders scoop up options bets at $65,000 and higher. The bullish flow is reminiscent of the 2020-2021 bull market, when traders consistently snapped up Bitcoin calls at levels well above the going market rate. Many calls at 65,000, 70,000 and 75,000 crossed the tape on dominant crypto options exchange derivatives over the weekend. Moreover, fears of a Bitcoin price drop due to so-called overbought technical conditions and potential selling by bankrupt crypto exchange Genesis. What we were seeing is bankrupt crypto exchange crypto lender Genesis said, look, we need to dump our Bitcoin. Nobody cared. Nobody was interested. Bitcoin was going up. These Bitcoin ETFs have a huge amount of inflows. We're not interested in you dumping your Bitcoin. You can do what you want. We've got more important things going on here. We could be seeing a supply shock and we want to buy Bitcoin now. That's what everybody said to the markets. And that is why we've just been seeing Bitcoin be relentless and just move to the upside. Let's see what else is going on here. Let's take a look at this article actually, because I think this is a really interesting one. Before we continue, please don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification button. Let's take a look at what's going on in the chat here. So Jonathan says $15,000 low was already a break of the 4-year trend as it dropped below the previous cycle low. Max Payne is the previous cycle low was $3,000. Max Payne is we go to all-time high in March. Beats get in and we dropped to 50,000, 10 years of pent up demand. Max Payne is we go to all-time high in March, bears get in and we dip to $40,000. Who else thinks Jordan should get the new Tap Global CEO? Not touching Bitcoin, not for me. Not touching Bitcoin, not for me. Bitcoin's just my favorite asset. I honestly, I could argue with people for days over why Bitcoin is great. But let's take a look at what's going on in this article here. I think there are some opportunities here that I wouldn't say okay, coming back to the chat, I need to actually explain what I'm thinking about here. Jonathan says the 4-year trend has already broken because Bitcoin dropped to the $15,000 low. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Bitcoin did drop to $15,000, but we are still in the same trends if we really do zoom out from this. If we go to the weekly chart, we can see that we are clearly in the same cycles here. If we take a look at what happened, yes, from between this cycle at that $1,200 level, we didn't cross that in the next bull market. We've done that. I'm not explaining this very well at all. If we take a look here, I mean, we don't have any data there to look at, but if we take a look here, you can see that after the second halving, yes, we didn't break the previous all-time high, if that makes sense. So that's the all-time high then there. And on this occasion we did, but on one occasion we have, on one occasion we've held that, and on one occasion we haven't held that. So that's not too much of a piece of information that we can go off here. I think we held it pretty nicely. There were circumstances that pushed us lower than a lot of people expected. We had the FTX news. We had some very bearish periods of time there, but overall that was a major level of support that did hold us up pretty strong. I meant to say it dropped below the previous cycle high. Yeah, so these are the lines that we are looking at here. Obviously, the reason that we did actually crash below that on the weekly chart was from FTX's collapse. I would also say that was a black swan event as well, an anomaly to the rule. I don't necessarily think that that's a factor that I would say means the 4-year cycles have broken. We have seen the same again, where we've seen a bull market, bear market, bull market, bear market, and we are definitely in an uptrend when it comes to the weekly chart now, and we are seeing the starts of a bull market. Let's see what else is going on in the chat here. XRP for me, says Fonzie. Smash the like button, guys, says Cryptid Sniper. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. Let's take a look at what's going on in this next article here. So what we've got is the co-founder of PayPal invested $200 million in Bitcoin and ETH. So the founders fund acquired Bitcoin when it was under acquired Bitcoin when it was under $30,000 there. So PayPal was created obviously to help people make payments seamlessly online, just from one to the other, making it very seamless. And then Bitcoin came along and kind of solved all the problems PayPal was trying to solve. PayPal have made a stable coin in the last year or so, and they are now have announced that they have accumulated Bitcoin under $30,000. They've accumulated around $200 million in Bitcoin and Ethereum. with half of that going into Bitcoin and the remaining half going into Ethereum. The report did not state the average price of the accumulation for Ethereum, though, and this is not Founders Fund's first dabble in cryptocurrency. It was one of the first institutional investors in the industry, first buying Bitcoin in 2014, really trying to get exposure to the cryptocurrency space. We have also seen PayPal allow their users to buy and sell Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies on the platform as well. So pro-cryptocurrency company there. Let's see what else is going on here. We are now seeing what's happening with CZ, the Binance founder. Now, I think it's fair to say a lot of people in cryptocurrency are still a huge fan of CZ and the impact he's had on the cryptocurrency space. Although he has had to step away from Binance, he is still consulting the new CEO and making suggestions of how Binance can operate and move forwards. There have been some regulatory concerns and allegations towards CZ following his run as Binance founder. But as the cryptocurrency space as a whole, when he stepped down due to these regulatory concerns, we all kind of gave him a round of applause and said, look, you've done brilliant for the industry. Whatever's happened. We were all still proud to have him in the space. Pushing the space forward is really, really important for us. CZ has now, here's an update of what's happened here. So he is currently in the US facing criminal charges linked to money laundering violations. The founder and former CEO will have to wait 2 more months to know how long he will spend in prison after the US Department of Justice charged him with money laundering violations. So it has been postponed until the 30th of April, according to a CNBC report. The notice filed on Monday in Seattle's court. CZ's sentencing has been postponed. The Binance founder was initially set to know his fate on the 23rd of February after pleading guilty to the charges in November. He's already agreed to step down from his role as Binance CEO. He's paid a $50 million fine and posted a $175 million bond. Binance additionally agreed to pay $4.3 billion in penalties for operating as an unregistered money transmitting business and breaking the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. So we're seeing a lot of rolling over for defeats, paying the fines and kind of seeing where we can go from there. I'm going to drop the link to this in the live chat here if you do want to take a look at what's going on there. CZ, as I said, massively pushed the space forwards, now pleaded guilty to some of these charges here, still trying to move forward. CZ is still consulting the new CEO, is still actually a major shareholder of Binance as well, so keeping Binance on the right side of things is really important for him, clearly. So he's looking to consult the business, continue to help it grow, but also has a lot more free time to do what he wishes now, unless obviously he has to go to jail for a long period of time. But let's see. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. Crypto Cody says, love the show. Thank you very much for tuning in there. Jonathan says, I love CZ. Fonzie says, you do a great job, but I hope those who are invested do well with Bitcoin. I hope those who are invested in Bitcoin do well too, because that would mean I'm doing well as well. Let's take a look at what else is going on here. So the question here is, are NFTs back? Well, 4 Ether rocks sell in the last week. So let's take a look at this. The historic NFTs are becoming a sought after asset again, suggesting an NFT market resurgence could be on the horizon. Now, really interesting debate to be had here, because I was speaking to a couple of people about NFTs right back in October. Start of October, September, October, this conversation was, and I was hearing a lot of people that were in the NFT space last kind of NFT cycle, looking to accumulate some NFTs at low prices. Now, I'm personally not a huge fan of NFTs. I don't think that the majority of them bring much value. We are seeing people generate pictures and posting them and making a fortune off the back of that. If they have utility, brilliant, all about that. If they don't, then I don't really see their value. Other people, however, seem to make a huge amount of money from NFTs, so congratulations if you do. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you're picking the right ones. It all seems like luck to me, but some people have a knack at being able to get that luck repeatedly, so there must be more to it, but it's just not something that I've spent too much time on. because of the lack of utility when it comes to a lot of these projects. However, as I was saying, I was speaking to people back in September, October, and we were seeing, I was actually hearing that they were choosing to accumulate tokens that had previously performed really, really well and had lower floor prices. My question was at the time, how do you know that the same NFTs are going to pump around again? Like, Bored Ape Yacht Club, for example, biggest NFT collection that there was in the last kind of NFT hype. Would you accumulate them in the bear market? Will they be, again, take the number one spot when it comes to NFTs? For me, it feels like with NFTs, another collection will come along that will just blow them all out the park, and it will be like a complete reset. But then we are seeing previously, like, really popular collections really start to perform again. So it'd be really interesting this time around, because this is only really the second NFT cycle that we are seeing here. Nobody really knows how this is going to play out. In my mind, as somebody that's not really into the NFT sector, I'm imagining some new collections that we've never seen before coming and taking over the space. But it could be the complete opposite, where we see the same collections as last time really make that move to the upside. But if I personally do compare NFTs to meme coins a lot of the time. If we're taking a look at the meme coin pumps, it's typically brand new meme coins that haven't really seen the light of day that get the most gains there. It may be the same for NFTs. Who knows? I'm just speculating at this point, basing it off other sectors. We never know what's going to happen in this space. I wouldn't even say I wouldn't put past me. Let's try that again. I do expect NFTs to be back at some point. As somebody that doesn't like NFTs, I expect them to be back. We had a meme coin phase like 6 months ago in the middle of the bear market. Meme coins do absolutely nothing. That's the whole point of them. They are useless tokens. And we still had them soaring and making huge gains. So I 100% do see NFTs having the same wave, having that huge amount of hype in the industry once again. And I do think that will come sooner rather than later. It just seems to happen in this space here. For those that have managed to work out the secret when it comes to NFTs, tell me what it is. Tell me what it is. I can't get my head around why people are paying so much money for an NFT with no utility. But if you can sell them to me, I will invest in one day. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Crypto Cody says ETF, halving, rate cuts, and money printer on for election year equals the perfect storm. Exactly. I mean, things are all seeming to align here for Bitcoin. We all need to be taking a look at what's going on with the news right now. As I keep saying, looking at kind of the Bitcoin price is brilliant. Doing technical analysis is brilliant. Looking at what sectors are hyping is brilliant. But we need to take a look at what's going on in the news, what's going on outside of the cryptocurrency space as well, and really see how that will be impacting cryptocurrency within the next kind of 6-12 months, because that is really having an impact here and definitely something that we need to be prepared for. Let's take a look at what else is going on here in the chat. So not in the chat, in the news, Crypto.com states high-profile sponsorships are showing benefits there. Now, we all know Crypto.com have made some of the biggest sponsorships in cryptocurrency, paying huge amounts of money to be on the side of stadiums, on F1 and all that kind of stuff, but they're seeing benefits from that, apparently. Let's move on here. So Ethereum gas surges amid ERC 404 hype. So the hype has seen gas fees on Ethereum hit levels not seen in 8 months. I mean, we see these articles for Ethereum all the time. A surge in gas fees. What? No way. No way. Not on Ethereum. What we've seen here is the highest levels in 8 months, driven by increased interest in a new experimental token standard known as ERC 404. Ethereum gas prices hit an average peak of 70 Gwei, equivalent to $60 for a standard transaction, with peak gas costs reaching as high as 377 Gwei, a level not seen since 12th of May 2023. So while multiple factors contributed to this surge in gas prices, it has coincided with growing excitement surrounding the ERC 404 token standard within the cryptocurrency community. So this standard momentum, the standard movement gains momentum on the 5th of Feb when a project named Pandora introduced the experimental standard. So what is the standard here? It aims to connect ERC-721 NFTs with ERC-20s, enabling the fractionalization of NFTs. This allows multiple wallets to own a portion of a single NFT, enabling them to trade or stake that portion for loans. This is interesting to me. This is interesting to me. For the idea of being able to buy a portion of an NFT, I like this. I like this a lot. The problem with NFTs that I see is, first of all, the illiquidity of NFTs is a problem. And second of all is the fact that you can't dollar cost average in and you can't dollar cost average out. You need to dump like 70 ETH on an NFT that's got all the hype around it. Otherwise, and then you need to just be able to sell it all in one go. And that's just not possible. You can't invest in these really high standard collections that are really getting all of the hype unless you have a huge amount of Ethereum that you can just drop into one of these things and know that you just have to sell it all in one go. I'm a dollar cost average in, dollar cost average out person, and with the limitations that come with the ERC-721s, that is not possible. So I like this idea. Maybe this is gonna be the start of my interest in NFTs. Who knows? If anybody can persuade me, I'd be interested. I like this idea though. I like that a lot. Let's see what else is going on here. So Gary Gensler has been talking about the fake news that Bitcoin ETFs were being approved. I'm sure a lot of you here remember Bitcoin ETFs got approved in January 15th. What date was it? 15th of January. That was the date we were all waiting for. In the days running up to the Bitcoin ETF acceptance, there was a tweet put out on the official SEC Twitter profile saying that Bitcoin ETFs had been approved prior to their official approval, and it turns out that they had no two-factor authentication on their Twitter account, and it had been hacked. Now, Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, has said, "I assure that the SEC takes its cybersecurity obligations seriously. I understand that the SEC's Office of Legislative and Intergovernmental Affairs arranged a briefing on January 17th for our staff to for your staff concerning the X incident and addressing the questions raised in your letter." So they're saying, look, we're working on this. I mean, having two-factor authentication on your accounts is just standard, is it not? But let's take a look at what else is going on here. Jonathan says it was the 10th of January. Sorry for that. 10th or 11th. I know it was somewhere around that date. So the Philippines to launch CBDC within 2 years to counter rising crypto use. Very interesting here. CBDCs getting attention once again. This is a very short deadline here. We could see a huge wave of this around the world. Something we need to be cautious of. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, essentially digital currencies that are controlled by our central banks, meaning that they have control over where we are spending our money. So the Philippines Central Bank intends to launch a wholesale CBDC that will not employ blockchain technology. So the Philippines Central Bank is preparing to launch a central bank digital currency in the next 2 years to counter the rising use of crypto in the country. Central Bank Governor has announced a plan on February the 12th and said the regulator intends to focus on a wholesale CBDC rather than a retail one. He added that the central bank has decided to forego using blockchain in the project. He said the central bank's intention is to offer a stable and regulated digital currency that enhances the efficiency of domestic and cross-border payments. So first of all, it's not going to be for retail users. It's not going to be for people like you and me making payments in the Philippines. It's more for those cross-border payments and on a higher level there. But we all know how these things work. They come in and they start to trickle down, and eventually we do see retail people using these things on the day-to-day. So just a little glimpse of what's happening here in the Philippines, and I'm sure we will see this in other regions as well. Let's take a look at what's going on with Ethereum though. Let's move on back to what's going on with the prices of these assets today. That's all we've got for the news section of this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button so you don't miss the latest cryptocurrency news. Thank you very much, Jonathan. I very much appreciate that. Let's take a look at what's going on the daily chart here. Now, we are on the run up to the Bitcoin halving. When it comes to this chart here, if it's moving to the downside, Ethereum is being outperformed by Bitcoin. And if it's moving to the upside, Bitcoin is outperforming if it's moving to the upside, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin. So we have seen Bitcoin outperforming Ethereum since back in September 2022. And we are now in the months prior to the Bitcoin halving. If we put this onto our chart, typically, at this point in time, we are looking to find a bottom on this chart. Typically, if the trends are to repeat, we will likely see a bottom here and see Ethereum start to outperform Bitcoin for the next 6 months or so. And with that, we can expect to see some nice high cap altcoin moves as well. So let's take a look at what's going on with Ethereum on the US dollar chart, having a nice move to the upside. Hasn't yet broken its high from the Bitcoin ETF launch announcement. If we take a look here, we have a level of resistance at $2,720 from back on the 12th of January 2024 there. So definitely something to be keeping an eye on here. But really nice price movement for Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin. Let's take a look at Chainlink, since that was the one token of the day that has had a little bit of red on the charts here. If we take a look at the daily chart here, we can see that we are seeing a slight pullback. We are up over 50% since back on the 26th of January, so we really can't complain too much. Maybe seeing a little bit of pullback. If we take a look at some options here, we can see we have a significant level there at $18.27, but Chainlink seems to be on an absolute tear. I'll be interested to see if we do even retest that at this point. But definitely keeping an eye on that and all of the other altcoins in this kind of top 20 section right now. I think it is really the high cap altcoins time to shine. And Bitcoin, honestly, surprising us all and performing incredibly well as well. So we will be keeping a close eye on that. I think that's all we really have for today's stream. I just wanted to run through the latest cryptocurrency news and see what's going on with the charts today. But we've boxed that all off pretty quickly. So thank you very much for tuning in. As always, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. Thank you very much for everybody that's been active in the live chat today. Very much appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow with another cryptocurrency news update, so make sure to stay tuned. Thank you very much for watching,